Hey dude, how's it going? It's Christy and welcome to today's session. As you can see, the title of today's session is Accelerated Self-Empowerment. That's 5 steps to real magic in your real life. And notice I didn't say make-believe, science fiction, or fantasy. We're talking about real life superpowers today. And I know that if you're just starting out, real magic might feel a little far away to you right now. But the more you pay attention to everything I'm about to tell you, the more you're going to realize that you're already actually doing real magic. It's just a little different in the early stages than we imagine. So I know some people like to start their webinars with some story, and we're going to get into plenty of that later. Right now, I'm just going to dive into the good stuff. Cool? Cool. Okay, so let's go on ahead and talk about who this is for. This is for anyone who knows that they are magical and wants to learn how to use their real life superpowers. If you've stared at the clock trying to shift time, if you've held out your hand trying to make things move, if you've thought you could read the minds of others, if at the core of your being you know you have superpowers and you want to know how to use them in real life, then this is for you. And you're like me. I specifically call us dudes and chick dudes, but we're not bro dudes. Bro dudes blame others and don't really have an awareness of themselves. They also like to compete with others who have masculine energy. Dudes and chick dudes like to just exist and be together in their awesomeness. So if this sounds like you, if you know you've got a lot of high potential and want to start using it all, this is for you. So here's what we're going to talk about in the next 45 minutes. We're going to talk about how to tap into and access your real life superpowers, even if it seems like a ridiculous fantasy right now. We're going to talk about how you are already using your superpowers and how they just look different than expected. We're going to talk about how to sort out the voices in your head, where they come from, what they really mean, and how to work with them. Because you're not crazy. You really do have superpowers. We're going to talk about how to transform the trauma that you've experienced into real, tangible superpowers. So here's my promise to you. If you stick with me, I'm going to hand you a step-by-step strategy for real, tangible magic in your real life. And again, if you're just starting out, trying to read people's minds, listen to your intuition, move stuff with your thoughts, using real magic within a year from now might seem completely crazy to you. But I actually went from that exact place to real, tangible telepathy, intuitive awareness, and time travel in less than a year. And I've helped many of my clients get to that point where they are doing real magic in their everyday lives. So I want to invite you to stretch your limits of what you think is possible, and let's dive in. Cool, so real quick, some basic shit. I think they should be obvious by now, but this is definitely not woo-woo spiritual bypassing. No woo-woo fake stuff, no spiritual bypassing, no pretend everything is fine when it's not and become magical just somehow. This stuff takes work. The stuff I'm going to share with you is going to massively simplify the way you look at and process your life experiences. Don't get me wrong, but it does take work, and it takes a lot of work. And you really, really also have to be committed to doing the work on your own. So that means no scapegoating. If you don't want to take responsibility for your life and your trauma, I can't help you. You need to be ready to do the work. If you don't want to do the work or want someone else to do the work for you, I can't help you either. Which brings me to our next ground rule here. No guru seeking. I'm not a guru. I've got fucked up shit just like you. We're moving into an age where we heal ourselves. You've got to be ready to do the healing yourself. And again, this should go without saying. Neither my result nor my client's results are typical, and the people you're going to hear are extraordinary and magical people. They work hard, they overcome challenges, and they earn the results I'm going to share with you. And just to remind you, your success or lack thereof is up to you. So really quick, let me check in with you and just sort of see where you're at. Does this sound like you? Do you have some months where you wonder why you're here on Earth? Do you start out every month or day wondering where you're really going? Do you see other people making the kinds of changes you want to make or living the lifestyle that you've dreamed of, and you just have no idea how they got there? Do you see other people living the kind of life you want, and you just have no idea how they're doing it, and thinking maybe they just don't have trauma holding them back or something? Do you know that you need to do some healing work, but you secretly worry that you won't be able to do it or that you'll lose the life you currently have? Are you working way too hard on improving yourself that you're starting to feel broken, or maybe spending a little too much time on self-care with very little movement forward? Do you feel like spirituality is only for pansy-ass dreamers with no real drive, motivation, or practicality? And do you secretly know that you've got superpowers, but you're afraid if you use them, others might get hurt or you might become even more isolated? And finally, do you feel like there's an invisible wall between you now and the you that you truly know you are? Well, look, if any of this stuff sounds like you, then I actually have some good news for you, because none of those things is, believe it or not, the real problem. The real problem is that you haven't made what I call the shifts, and I'm going to give you what those are in just a second, but for right now, just understand that once you make them, you'll have complete control over who you spend your time with and how you spend it with them. You'll be able to use real magic by becoming more and more your true authentic self. You will heal in ways that allow you to feel better about yourself and the life you're living. You'll understand the science and theory behind the invisible ceiling that blocks you on your healing journey, and you'll learn how to push through to faster healing than you ever thought possible. And you'll do all of this while tapping back into the joy of living your life. So, really quickly, let me just introduce myself and tell you who I am and why the hell you should listen to me. I'm Christy at Earth Magic Copper Crowns. I make copper crowns, which are magical tools. As far as I know, I'm the only person who teaches people how to use their own real magic to heal themselves. I don't heal you. I teach you how to do everything that I'm already doing for myself. I do this in interactive ceremonies where we separate the energies that is and isn't you, let go of what's not you, and bring back what is you. And I teach people how to access their real life superpowers. And believe me, I understand. That's a really crazy thing to say, that I teach real life superpowers. But the thing I want you to understand is that we're already using them. We just don't realize it. And how I use mine and how my clients use theirs is by using the exact same strategy that I'm about to teach you. So there's no difference. It's all the same basic strategy, and I'm going to walk you through exactly what that looks like today. Let me quick tell you how I discovered these 5 shifts, and then I'll walk you through exactly what they are. I've been doing this for a little while now, and what you might not know is that the concepts that are truth, absolute truth, are found in many disciplines. When I started diving into spirituality, I was surprised to find I had learned a lot of this in my master's program in organizational development, which is like psychology of business organizations. Think personal development, but for business. And it was with business terms and not spiritual terms. You see, the thing is, there are these holes in both business and spirituality. As I started learning about spirituality 5 years after I had received my degree, the spiritual side of it made the stuff I had already learned in organization development make more sense because it filled in those holes. Spirituality on its own has many holes. Organization development on its own has many holes. What I found is that when I put them together, the real world and the spiritual world, they actually became something solid, something real, something both magical and tangible. In my healing path, I started to entertain the voices in my head. I started realizing that I was not crazy and started asking the voices questions. I would sit with one question a week. They would answer over time. The answers didn't always come straightforward, but sometimes they did. The more I translated the subtle messages, the more clear the messages became. In just 1 year, the messages went from subtle feelings and nuances to paragraphs, sentences, and words in voices that were clearly not mine. And over time, I got to practice implementing this tangible combination, the place where science and spirit meet. I met a lot of people that were on similar paths, real tangible paths. I noticed there's a difference between a lot of these people on a spiritual path. There are those who are spiritual, like they like incense, tarot, yoga, sound baths, but they really don't get the tangible magic part of this. They're too busy thinking that everything is rainbows and kittens. They're the ones that will tell you that shit doesn't stink when you're looking at a shit sandwich. It's not about being all light and love and letting people walk all over you. It's about loving yourself, coming from a place of truly loving yourself and then doing what is best for you and setting healthy boundaries for what is in your best interest. I also noticed another kind of person on this path. I noticed the people who are completely disconnected to the physical world because they've started to ascend without staying grounded. They can't explain anything in a coherent way. They simply react to energy. You might think they're crazy, but they are not. They see stuff you might not. And I met some people who saw things I did not, but believe me, I felt them. And you know what? Now I see them too, but in a more grounded way that doesn't take me out of my body. You see, eventually I had to quit my job, my office job. I had to jump out of the matrix, and I did it. The first year out of the matrix, I took an advanced shamanic training that ended with a vision quest. My vision quest was 4 days and 3 nights without eating or drinking water. I went on my quest with one intention: show me how to remain grounded while channeling high levels of knowledge so that I can share it with others. And this is what I was shown: how to blend spirit and science in a grounded way, in a real, tangible way. Over time, I've realized that there are these 5 things that really make the difference in activating real superpowers. I've been incorporating these 5 shifts into my life, my daily practice, and my way of thinking. I started healing myself on quantum levels. I also started teaching my clients the same thing, and they were also able to achieve quantum healing. And so today, what I want to do is just pull back the curtain and distill what these 5 things are that true magical people are doing that you might not be doing right now. So pay close attention, dude, because a lot of what I'm about to share with you might seem obvious and like you might already be doing some of it, but there's a big difference between knowing something and being something. A lot of this seems obvious because you already know these things. You already know them within your core, but are you living them? Are they just part of you? And part of you so much that you don't even need to think about them? So here's the 5 key shifts you need to take your real superpowers to a tangible level, to use them in real life while living your life more fully and get better results for your healing at the same time. So I'm going to walk you through all 5 of them on the session. Cool? All right. Let's dive in. The first shift is to operate with total integrity. So there's an idea that highly effective people take 100% responsibility for understanding ourselves and other people. And this is a concept that I first heard talked about by Stephen Covey, the author of The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The strategy of the 7 habits is at the heart of everything we do. And what the strategy of the 7 habits says is that you should seek to understand before you seek to be understood. So this means to take 100% responsibility to be the best version of you and have everything in your life reflect that. So basically, what this means is that you should be taking personal responsibility for your reality and the situations you find yourself in or have been in. This means 100% responsibility in the present moment, 100% responsibility when you look back on and talk about the past, and 100% responsibility when you talk about and prepare for the future. Never do anything that isn't in your best interest. Never ask or expect another person to do anything that isn't in their best interest. So basically what this means is that you should be taking personal responsibility for the welfare of others in your life by taking responsibility for yourself in all moments in time. I know that you might be thinking, well, Christy, obviously I want to take responsibility. Obviously I don't want to harm others and want them to be happy and hope that they do what's best for themselves. But you know what? There's a lot of people out there that don't. And there's a lot of people out there who think they are, but they actually are not. So I just want to point out that all this stuff I'm about to teach you, it doesn't work if you don't have your own best interest at heart. Because what's best for you is actually best for others. They may not like it or complain in the moment, but in the long run, it's in their best interest if it's in your best interest. So here's something I want you to understand. The world is like a mirror. If it doesn't matter how good your intentions are, there is no escaping cause and effect. So the world is like a mirror that's constantly reflecting back to you what your deepest beliefs and intentions are. So if your intention is to not get hurt because you're afraid to lose yourself, to lose other people, or to just plain lose, believe me, the world is going to reflect that back to you. And it's going to show up by attracting people you don't actually like, or by attracting no one and causing you to go further into isolation. And people are going to mistrust you because you're not being honest with yourself. So how can you be honest with them? You're not going to be able to create a real connection. You're not going to be able to create a community or a life you feel fulfilled in. And over time, believe me, people are going to sense it. People are going to know it. And you're going to have a much tougher time vibing your tribe. But on the other hand, if you decide right now to make a commitment to yourself, to vibe your true vibe, even if you're just starting out with self-development, maybe this is the first webinar you've seen, maybe this is the first time you've ever been exposed to any of these ideas. If you start out from the very beginning saying, look, I'm going to build my life on a foundation of integrity, I'm going to build my life on a foundation of results that feel good to me, then that's going to get reflected back to you. People are going to trust you because you're going to understand that they're going to understand that you have your own best interest at heart, and therefore their best interest at heart. So look, do you want authentic friends? Be authentic. Do you want friends who support you without hesitation? Look how you show up for other people. Bottom line, dude, is that you attract the kind of person that you are. If you're sincere about wanting to show up for other people, you're going to attract others who are sincere too. If you're decisive, you're going to attract people that are decisive. If you're laid back and want to just be yourself, being yourself will attract others who are being themselves too. If you make commitments and aren't afraid to invest in yourself, to grow your authentic self and grow your authentic community, you're going to find other people who feel that way too. So if you want to attract people who are willing to take 100% responsibility to show up as their best self or be supportive or have healthy boundaries, then you had better do the same. So here's the bottom line. Everything I'm about to show you is designed to get the best possible healing results while you practice your superpowers in real life and create a lot more happiness and fulfillment in your everyday life than you have right now. Everything I'm about to show you is built on this foundation of integrity. So we're going to talk a lot about really cool magical stuff and a lot of other stuff we're going to get into. But I just want you to understand that all of this is designed not just to make you more magical in real life, even though that's what it's going to do. It's designed to get the best possible results for healing your trauma while creating a lot more happiness and fulfillment in your daily life than you have right now. So if you've been looking into spirituality and just like some of it seems a little out there or fluffy, or like really the world isn't just rainbows and kittens all the time, I've got real problems, I can't just manifest them away. If this sounds like you, then what I'm about to show you is going to blow your mind, because everything I'm about to share with you is designed to create magical results for your life while melting away the problems that you currently face. Does that all make sense? All right. So the second shift is that all answers are within. There are only two reasons why you're not listening to the answers within. Either you think your wisdom and knowledge don't match up to others, or you think it does, but you believe that if you were to fully listen to it, you might be wrong. So let's address the first problem. This first problem of you thinking that your wisdom and knowledge doesn't match up. Christy, why should someone listen to me? Why would someone value what I have to say? Nobody knows who I am. It's just me. I'm just getting started on this healing path, this ascension stuff. There's all these other people who know more than I do. Why me? Why would I know things or have divine wisdom? Well, let's talk about that right now. Okay, the one thing I really want you to understand is this. You know things. You have knowledge. Your wisdom has value. There's no hierarchy in value of knowledge and wisdom. Let me give you a quick example. Let's say that you are Moses and that you hear divine messages from God and write them onto tablets. And let's say that you're another guy who went to graduate school, got his PhD, and spent hours and thousands of dollars on school and wrote a book on his findings. Okay, and now let's say there's a chick who just started observing the way the world works and how people work within it and writes it all down in a Da Vinci sort of way. Okay, so now what is the difference in the end products? What is the difference between the tablets of Moses, the book from the scholar, and the ramblings of someone who's paying attention? Fucking nothing. Not a single thing is different from them. All the knowledge came from within that person, and they put it on paper. Even the scholar, all of the information he learned came from a book written by just another person or in a lecture given by just another person. So what's different? Nothing. Nothing is different between those forms of wisdom. But that's only true if you're not living entirely from a fear state. When someone's whole world is shaped by scarcity, not enough time, not enough money, not enough stability, the mind shifts into survival mode, and survival mode can't interpret inner wisdom. It can only react. That isn't a flaw. It's a neurological compression. And of course, the people who like to keep the upper floors nice and quiet figured out a long time ago that a stressed population doesn't ask too many questions. They understand that if the base of the pyramid stays stressed, the top never has to move. But the moment someone's nervous system gets even a little bit of breathing room, their thinking widens. Their inner wisdom comes back online. They realize they were never less wise. They were overwhelmed. When fear loosens its grip, the mind can finally hear itself again. So what really makes the difference between how their end products are viewed and valued in the world? What really makes that difference? Well, it's made up rules of class and division by people. Made up rules by people. That's it. Do you understand? Do you get that? The value of what you think and what you create is priceless, no matter who you are. So why would you seek information outside of yourself? Or not value the information you know is in there? Because honestly, if I'm going to make decisions and possibly make the wrong decision, as if there were a true right or wrong anyway, wouldn't I rather risk it all and listen to myself? Yeah, you bet I would. So understanding the value of your own words, thoughts, and creations actually reassures other people that you're being the best version of yourself. Each of us is connected to the Akashic Records. We each have our own unique section, own unique knowledge and wisdom. This is your personal and individual gift to the world. You're sharing this gift. Are you sharing this gift to the fullest? We need all of this knowledge to make this earth place a place we actually want to live in. So if you can create an incredible impact on the lives of others with the knowledge that is inside of you, why are you hiding? Also, dude, believe it or not, failing when it's something you really believe in feels really good, because that means it was worth the risk. When you make those major leaps of faith in your life, when you go out there and take a risk, when you go out there and get super cool life that you always wanted, it feels really good to move through the fear, even if you fall flat on your face, because even if you don't get the outcome you wanted, the outcome you expected, you grew in the process, you learned in the process, and that's what we're here to do, is we're here to learn. You know, I remember the day I decided to take my 9-month advanced shamanic training. I had no real idea what it would be, and it was everything I had hoped for and more. It was like the coolest thing ever. I was super excited to show up to class and never once felt like I was missing out on something else. There was this really nervous part of me that's at the start of that journey, just so you know. um, I was thinking, I just quit my full-time job to go back to school. How can I afford this? Look at all these cool people. What if I don't fit in? What if they don't like me? And worse yet, what if I am better than them? What if they tell me that the voices in my head are wrong? And you know what? There was a ton of resistance. My shamanic teacher, before she was my teacher, when she linked the moment I started drinking at the age of 12 to the same moment my alcoholic dad left and how he had literally passed it off to me, I was furious. Fuck that bitch. Fuck her for being 100% right. Ugh. And that's how I knew her class was the next best step for me, because I felt that resistance. The money for the advanced shamanic training found me once I made the commitment to taking it. The process of the training brought healing I had only dreamed of. It gave me the tools I had been looking for. It gave me words to explain energy that I had only been able to react to in the past, which helped me feel more understood and valued than I had ever felt before. Shamanism was the missing link I had been looking for my entire life. The other thing I want you to understand is that people who pay more actually get better results than people who don't. Okay, I get it. Right now you might be thinking, Christy, why should I invest in myself when I can do all these things for free on my own? How can I spend money on self-development or metaphysics when there are other things I'd like to be spending my money on? I get it. But what you need to understand is that people who pay more actually get better results and better outcomes than people who don't. And if you invest in your individual healing, its positive effects will ripple out into your life. So many people feel that getting things for free or cheap is great because we hate capitalism, and that's actually one of the tricks to keep you at the bottom. Right now, we live in a world that has money. Money is energy. It's an exchange of energy. That's all. Its only power is that of what we give it. It can create a commitment to yourself that isn't there yet. That's what I found. We only commit at the level of risk we put in. Have you ever dated someone because you thought they would be a safe choice, and then you end up arguing or hating each other, or worse yet, bored and complacent? There was no risk, and therefore it wasn't fulfilling. It wasn't what you really wanted. If I commit to something low risk, I'm going to put in low risks worth of effort. But if I go into something I'm scared as shit to lose, I'm going to show up very, very different, aren't I? I'm going to show up ready to work, ready to move forward, and committed. I'm going to show up resourceful. I'm going to show up ready to get stuff done. And doesn't that make it a hell of a lot more likely I'm going to get better results? And then finally, dude, and of course, it's much easier to live your life when it's a life you love. So just to give you an idea, if you're letting fear stop you from making decisions, if you're letting fear keep you from getting out in the world, if you're letting fear hold you back from doing the things you think you might actually enjoy, then let's just do a little math right now. 0 plus 0 divided by 0 times 0 all equals 0. So dude, by investing in yourself, by making choices that you are afraid to make, by taking the leap in the presence of fear, you're actually more likely to succeed. Yes, if there is fear, you have a high risk, and therefore you are more likely to succeed. First of all, following your intuition leads to the right places that you're more likely to succeed in. Second of all, it reassures other people that you're a safe person to be around. And third, investing in your own growth and self-development is actually aligned with knowing that the answers come from within and working at tapping into those answers deep within you. You're going to get better results, and you're going to meet your growth goals faster. So you might be thinking, okay, Christy, I'm with you. I get it. All the answers are within. Be my best self. Take 100% responsibility. Start looking at my trauma so that it doesn't affect me. But if I start looking at my trauma, how do I know things will get better and not worse? I get it, Christy. You've been doing this for a long time. You can heal yourself. Your friends can heal themselves. Aren't you guys great? But what about me? I'm just starting out. How do I do this? How do I get past my fear and heal stuff I don't want to look at? Stuff I don't even know how to look at. Stuff that is buried so deep that I have no idea where it is or how to start looking at things. I see my value and worth, but how do I get there? How do I make it real? Well, you've used the secret weapon, and that brings us to our third shift. The secret weapon is the flower of life. So the flower of life is the most powerful roadmap to being human, following your dreams, moving through fear, and changing patterns in your life. And it does all these things while you become more and more magical for real superpowers. So let's talk about how to create real magic. Okay, so the old way is to say, if you want to heal, then you better find a doctor, you better find a healer. If you want to heal, you need medication, you need 3 or 5 pills per day, you need to be exercising 3, 4, 5 times a day, you got to be eating healthy, you got to be getting outside, you got to have a fitness routine, you got to read a blog about your diagnosis, and if you want to feel better, then you need to manage your diagnosis. You gotta. Ugh. And if you do all this stuff, maybe someday, eventually, by some magic, you'll feel better. So this is what I call Band-Aid healing. Jude, have you heard of this? How many people here have been taught one or more of these strategies? I call this stuff Band-Aid healing because they only address the symptoms. You're going to do all this work, and then you're going to cross your fingers and just hope, maybe if I work out more, I'll feel better. Maybe if I just stick to a routine, I'll feel better. Maybe if I change my habits, I'll feel better. I'm going to do all this work up front, and maybe I'll change. So, does this even make sense? You're taking medications, you're on a diet, you're going to therapy, and you're doing all this work, and then somehow, through some way, you're going to be healed, and then somehow, some way, you're going to feel good enough to live a life you love? How's that going to work? People heal your symptoms because it keeps you sick. Look, before we go any further, let me make something extremely clear so nobody on YouTube clips this out of context and turns me into that anti-medicine girl with crystals in her bra. Dude, no. Absolutely not. Well, yeah, I do put crystals in my bra sometimes, but seriously, I spent years thinking I could Jedi mind heal myself with trauma work alone. And then 2020 came along and said, cute theory, here's a medical crisis that will body slam you into reality. And it did. Hard. My brain went offline, my life fell apart, and suddenly the whole just raise your vibration thing wasn't cutting it. So here's the actual truth. You need both. You need the metaphysical and the physical. You need the woo and the doctors. You need the trauma healing and the neurologist. You need pattern mapping and medication when your nervous system is throwing sparks like a 1980s microwave. I'm not here to replace medicine. I'm here to stop you from walking into your doctor's office with a chaotic tornado of emotional debris and expecting them to decode your entire soul in a 50-minute appointment. No, we don't do that anymore. What we can do is clear the dirt off first, clean the emotional windshield, so when you finally walk into that office, your doctor can actually see what's going on. Not the trauma noise, not the existential swirl, the real signal, the part of you that's been trying to get help since you were 7. And yeah, my old 2018 to 2019 self was adorable, running around like, I can heal everything myself, I'm a magical self-sustaining ecosystem. Meanwhile, my nervous system was in the corner, doing the Windows blue screen reboot every 5 minutes. So if you're watching this, and you're also one of those people who thinks you're too enlightened for modern medicine, dude, stop. Some of your symptoms are trauma. Some of your symptoms are your literal physical body waving a white flag and begging for medical attention. And if you don't know the difference yet, that doesn't mean you're failing. It just means you haven't done enough pattern sorting to tell what's emotional, what's neurological, and what's actually physical. That's why we do this work, not to avoid doctors, but to get better results with doctors. All right, back to the flower of life. Otherwise, we would live in a world full of healthy and happy people. Your wife, husband, partner, roommates, they're going to say, I see them trying to make all these changes, but nothing sticks. They're not getting better. Do you understand? These strategies to address symptoms are actually destructive because they take forever and they don't stick. So if that was the old way, what's the new way? The new way is really simple. You just need to understand this one thing. What's true on the macro is true on the micro. So if you find the pattern, you can flip it. You see this pattern in the background here? That's the flower of life. It's just a bunch of circles in balance. That's what we are. We're a circle. We just need to get in balance at the core. You can think of the macro as the energy of the whole universe, and the micro as the smallest cell inside your body. It all works the same. It's all a pattern. The universe is a pattern. Say it with me. The universe is a pattern. What's true on the macro is true on the micro. Again, the universe is a pattern. What's true on the macro is true on the micro. So you don't even need a guru, a magician, or a fitness plan. You can naturally heal yourself with a simple process like this. Identify the macro pattern, find the source of the pattern, flip the pattern by practicing a new micro pattern, and this equals quantum accelerated self-healing. Say it with me, quantum accelerated self-healing. It is so much simpler than doing it the other way. So why is healing yourself so powerful? Well, what's the secret sauce here? Why does healing yourself work so well? Well, your bodies and cells are designed to heal themselves. They are designed to listen to instructions. You are capable of giving your cells these instructions, right? You are capable of giving these instructions to your cells. The idea behind all of these other outdated strategies for healing is that they are trying to change the pattern when it's already at the macro. Changing a macro pattern is really hard and almost ensures failure in the long run. I know. Right now you're probably thinking, but Christy, why would we have been doing this for hundreds of years if it didn't really work? Well, I'll tell you what, it works in the short run. So at first you see results, but it doesn't stick. What I mean by it doesn't stick is that you go to the gym every day for a month, and then the one day you miss sets you right back into the old pattern, and it's that much more difficult now to get yourself to the gym. The goal of the old way, having someone else fix the macro pattern, is that you want to build new healthy habits. You want to build a life you love living in. And the problem with those outdated strategies is that they ask you to spend months or years trying to do that. But getting down to the core of where the pattern comes from and then flipping it when it's micro is so much easier and builds new healthy habits on its own without you needing to feel like you're doing any work. And flipping the micro pattern fixes all of the things you do that you don't like in fractions of the time. And you know what? The only person who knows where that core is, where that pattern started, is you. Well, and your spirit guides, but we'll get there later. Okay? So healing yourself establishes a new pattern that you want while becoming more magical and developing your superpowers. So how does that work? Well, everyone is energy. And at the end of the day, we're all energetic blobs. In shamanic tradition, they call the energy that is truly us soul energy. When a person experiences trauma, a part of their soul leaves and goes somewhere else because their physical body is not because it's not safe in their physical body at the present moment. This is a natural response to trauma and is a very important survival mechanism. But it is very important to go get that piece of your soul and then let it know that it's now safe to come back into your body. If you don't go get that piece, there is a hole. In this hole, other energies can come in and attach to your energetic field and physical body. In modern psychology, they have discovered that trauma is indeed often stored in one's physical body. The energy that is not you, which gets stuck in you, can manifest as physical pain or negative thought patterns. These energies that are not you can come from negative energies from society, they can be energies from other living people, they can be from ghosts, they can be from entities, or they can be demons. Ghosts, entities, and demons, oh my. It doesn't matter how humans look at these energies or what negative words they use to talk about them. At the end of the day, these are just stuck energies that need to be healing. People just don't like how they feel inside their bodies and what these energies cause them to do in the physical world. So going back down to this place where the trauma originally happened, where the pattern originally started, and then removing this energy and putting back the energy that is actually you is exactly what the shaman or shamanic practitioner does. It's called extraction and soul retrieval. And you can do it too. You can do it for yourself. This is how you quantumly heal yourself. We'll talk about that, but first let's talk about what it feels like when these other energies are in you. So I feel like not myself. Have you ever suddenly felt like you weren't yourself? A feeling comes on, you were fine a moment ago, but something suddenly changes. Now you're saying something you don't believe or that you don't really think is true, but it's coming out of your mouth anyway. Before you can even think about stopping it, it's out of your mouth. And before you're able to fully conceptualize what just happened, the other person has already reacted. You become aware and back in control, but now you're right in the middle of an argument. You're not quite sure how you got here, but whatever's going on, you know it's not your fault. Have you ever felt this? Experienced this? Well, you're not crazy. That actually wasn't you. People have fluid emotions. They ride up and down in waves. Sudden emotional shifts are the result of energies or emotions that are not you, that are not yours. They feel real in your body and cause real reactions inside of you, but the energy, the source of the energy, it isn't you. So in a few months, you can experience healing that would otherwise take you years. Healing yourself, you can heal so much faster. You can heal in months what would otherwise take years. Do you understand that? It could be so much simpler and so much faster than you realize. So let me tell you about my chick dude client, Maria. Maria suffered a severe trauma when she was in her early 20s. This trauma was triggered for a week, and she felt distant and out of her body. She self-medicated, went to healers, and tried to clear the energy, tried to feel better in the middle of internal chaos. Maria came to my office, and I noticed the energy attached to her. It had dark tentacles. I mentioned this to her, and we had a conversation about what she was feeling. The healing work she had been doing was clearing energy, but not retrieving soul pieces. This only made a bigger hole for the entity connected to her deep trauma. Maria asked for my help, so we started a ceremony to do the extraction and soul retrieval. Now, the extraction and soul retrievals I do are a little different than the traditional ones because healing ourselves is more powerful. I hold space for you to heal yourself by identifying and sorting out the energy inside of you. The moment we identify the energy in the ceremony with Maria, Maria started to realize that it was not her. She started to feel the difference between her feelings and its feelings. She started to hear the difference between her thoughts and its thoughts. We were able to talk to the energy that was connected to Maria. He, the entity, hurt others and liked feeding off their pain. While in the long run, he was hurting Maria, he was also protecting her from looking at the trauma she experienced. She expressed that it felt like she was putting down a beloved pet. There is this symbiotic relationship between us and these ghosts, entities, and demons. They're giving us a false sense of protection, and they come into our bodies to defend us when we're reminded of that trauma. But the truth is, we are no longer experiencing that trauma. Being reminded of a trauma is called a trigger in modern psychology. When one is reminded of a trauma, they disassociate. They leave their bodies for a moment, and the energy that is not them comes out, lashes out. Human nature is not war and fighting. That's what animals in captivity respond. That's how animals in captivity respond. Captivity results in war and fighting. Maria and I had a conversation with the entity. We listened to it, heard its story. Within minutes of the entity deciding to leave and me helping him back to the spirit world, Maria's active PTSD symptoms were gone within minutes, the active ones. Just days after, the ripple from removing that energy and flipping the pattern, Maria met a guy and was able to have conversations about things she wasn't able to talk about before in partnership. And they're still together now. So, in my healing, I haven't been sick in over 2 years. Well, that was true when I wrote this, but recently I had a little cold sickness, and the message there was that it was important for me to process this. But anyway, we'll go on and explain this anyway. So also, I have been able to set boundaries in situations because I predicted them and responded to them instead of falling into old situations and old patterns like I would have in the past. Now, I, like Maria, can have uncomfortable conversations instead. Now, it hasn't been pretty just getting lost into dating someone might have been more fun and less work, but it perpetuates the same old pattern. And having difficult conversations are quite uncomfortable in the short run, but in the long run, they feel much better and much healthier. So I'm now able to look at what's going on and have uncomfortable conversations while doing the healing work. And I'm actually healing some really old shit that I thought I would never get to. It's not completely from going to healers. It's not completely from going to therapy. It's not a medication. It's from healing myself. Do you understand? What sounds easier to you? All that work? Do all the medications? All those things? Or just find the pattern and flip it at its core? It can literally be that simple. And then once you have a solid pattern and foundation for healing yourself, then maybe you want to go to someone else and have them help you look at some deeper shit that's really stuck. I'm not saying don't do any of those old ways. I'm not saying they don't have value. So other people can help you heal when you get to deep stuff. Some of the surface level stuff you can be taking responsibility for and clearing it right now. Then and only then, when you get to a place where you hit a wall, then go get support to go deeper. I'm not saying healings from other people don't help, but what I'm saying is that if you want accelerated healing and you want it now, the fastest way is to use the secret weapon like I've told you. So here's the bottom line. Identifying your patterns, going into your trauma, and flipping the micro pattern can give you better results faster. You understand? What would your life look like if you did 10 years of healing in only 1 year? How much time are you spending trying to make yourself better? How much time are you spending trying to get to a place where you like yourself? How much time are you spending on therapy, self-care, self-improvement? What if you could just let all that stuff go and focus on healing at the core while using your superpowers, while your superpowers become stronger? Wouldn't that be better? Wouldn't that be more fun? All right, so let's do a quick recap. So at this point, we know that we must be operating from a place of total integrity, listening to the answers within, and using the secret weapon, the flower of life. We know that we must identify the energy that is truly us and truly not us. We know that we can flip the micro pattern and foster a new pattern. And we know that we change the world by changing yourself. Now, let's take a look at how to do all this without losing our minds. Because this is super important, dude. I know that in the beginning, if you're so fixated on the trauma or ignoring the trauma, you just want to get better. I get it. I've been there. But the truth is that it's no good, even if you're getting better, if you don't want to live the life that you're living. And if you're not focusing on the magic, forget it. You're not going to have fun with this. And I want you to have fun so that you can have a life you love living in. I want you to choose life. What would your life look like if you decided that you want to be here? So, and that brings us to the next shift, which is energetic protection. So the next shift is to understand you're always protected and learn how to protect yourself energetically. So you want to understand this so that you can bring in energetic protection, whether you are in your daily life, on the bus, at a festival, sitting on a beach, or traveling, or actually just sitting home meditating. So you have all the answers inside. Your answers are valuable and can help everyone else. They can help us create a world that we're proud to live in. Maybe you're sick of the world. Maybe you're waiting for the aliens to come get you or magically ascend. I get it. I was there too. I understand. A lot of my clients were trying to escape their life in some way. I want to take a second to introduce you to a new way of doing things. And I find that doing things the way that I'm about to share with you actually gets better results for your healing, and it creates a lot more fun for you. We each are connected to the Akashic Records. Every one of us has a personal section of that library, a place where real wisdom lives, not just imagination or wishful thinking. But here's the thing no one likes to say out loud. Having access doesn't mean everyone knows how to read. Some people open their inner library and receive actual guidance. Others open it and immediately do something unhinged, like wearing a third eye meditation crown for 9 hours straight because they heard the word activate and thought it meant treat it like a uniform. The third eye copper crowns I make are meant for deep journeys, not grocery shopping. The 5-gauge copper headpiece you see me wearing? Very different. Definitely for grocery shopping. You want your energy protected and contained when you're out in the world, not your third eye open like it's shooting a laser beam. So when I say your answers are within, I'm talking to the version of you that's guided, the version that can listen past your ego, past your panic, past your literal mind, and actually hear what your inner wisdom is saying. If your guidance says rest, you rest. If your guidance says take it off, you take it off. That's discernment. That's the real psychic skill. Inner wisdom is not for people who mimic instructions without understanding. It's not for people who treat metaphors like IKEA manuals. It's not for people running on survival mode, trying to punch the spiritual elevator buttons until something lights up. This work is for people with symbolic intelligence, for people who can interpret, not imitate, for people who can feel the difference between intuition and impulse. If nuance fries your circuits, this path will confuse you. If your higher brain is online, the part of you that can hold clarity, subtlety, humor, and truth at the same time, then yes, your inner library is open to you. For those people, the knowledge inside you is not just real. It's powerful. It's ancient. It's meant to be used. And with real wisdom comes real responsibility. Not everyone should handle it, but if you can, then welcome. You're in the right place. So, we each are connected to the Akashic Records. This is the library of the universe. We each have our own unique section. This is a powerful and important knowledge within you. Powerful and important knowledge that you are meant to share with the world. Knowledge that we need to make this earth a great place that we all want to live in. I'm going to share with you how to tap into that place. That place is called your power place. You access your power place by doing shamanic journeys with shamanic drumming. This puts you in a deep alpha, theta, beta, whatever state, and it brings you to what is called non-ordinary reality. The physical world that you are in now is called ordinary reality. In non-ordinary reality, there is middle world, where your power place is located. There is lower world, where animal spirit guides live and provide wisdom. There's also the upper world, where the angelic and alien spirit beings live. They give healings and teachings. Each person has many spirit guides and spirit helpers. You are not alone. You are protected, and you are held, and you are guided. You have answers. You have wisdom. It's deep within you. And the best way for me to explain this to you is just to give you a really quick examples. The answers I had within me were about copper and its magical properties. I was doing a lot of healing work and becoming more and more sensitive to negative energy that was not me, low vibrations and low frequencies. I kept asking my guides, what do I do? I'm so sensitive. Please help me. In my shamanic journeys, my Egyptian spirit guides kept showing me copper. Eventually, they showed me an Egyptian woman and placed copper crown over her head. They told me this is the real reason royalty wore copper crowns, because it psychically protects you by shielding your third eye while keeping your crown chakra open. A copper crown or tool, when used as a magical tool and not just as an object, starts a micro pattern that seamlessly ripples out into your other relationships. You see, a copper crown looks great on the outside only because it's a physical manifestation of what it's doing energetically. So because I merged with my spirit guides before making the copper tools, and a healing intention goes into the copper during this process, it becomes a magical tool. Honestly, if I don't merge with my spirit guides before, it comes out looking like a child has made them. When the guides make them, they fit perfectly. You see, an earth magic copper crown or tool works like a Harry Potter wand. You don't choose a copper crown or a copper tool. It chooses you. Or rather, it's about the connection between you and your copper tool. So when you and your copper tool agree to work together, it starts a process. It starts an energetic connection. Okay, starts an energetic connection. So let me tell you how to connect with your copper tool, and then we'll talk about the amazing healing benefits. So what you do is you're going to always ask the tool what it wants. You're not going to decide for it. Ask it what it feels, where it wants to be when you're not wearing it or using it. Check in with it. Does this feel right? Should I be using you in this way? And you're going to ask it how to use it. So now the drum is also a magical tool, a really powerful one. When I did this kind of introduction journey and talking to my tool in my first shamanic training, I asked my drum what it wanted. It said it wanted a new stick. I had been thinking about making a new stick, but hadn't actually gotten around to it. The drum didn't like the stick I had been beating on it with. My drum told me that if I don't like the stick, it doesn't like the stick. I had been drumming on a drum with a stick that I didn't like, and the drum felt like that. So I made a new stick that I really like now. And my shamanic teacher also had this kind of fuzzy style stick, and it gives a softer beat that I resonate with. And before I felt super awkward drumming, and now I feel super deeply connected with my drum and love drumming with it. So now let's apply this to relationships with people. How many times have you done something with or for another person that you didn't want to do? They feel that, and it doesn't feel good to them. Nothing will feel good to others if you're not doing what feels good to you. So now your magical tools really symbolize the way you connect with everyone else. By practicing healthy energetic boundaries with your magical tools, it will seamlessly ripple out into your other relationships. And I mean effortlessly, because you already started the micro pattern with your magical tool. So the reason copper is so powerful is because it's the only neutral metal and it holds what you give it. There's a reason that most of the world's technology is made up of copper coils and crystals, because they hold energy. They actually do stuff. Copper crowns work similar to copper dowsing rods, which have been used for hundreds of years to find water. They literally point the human to water and can find water that is hundreds of feet below ground. But it's not the dowsing rods that are doing this, it's the human. The rods are simply reading the human's energetic field. That means the human knows where water is hundreds of feet below ground. That's the capabilities that our human bodies actually have. And so copper makes it so that you can more tangibly feel energy. Just as the copper dowsing rod will move in response to your energy field, wearing your copper crown or tool, you start to more tangibly sense a tingle. And these are your shaman senses, your spidey senses, your quantum energetic field. This personal quantum energetic field becomes more tangible when you use your copper crown or copper tool as a magical tool. But you have to be using it as a magical tool. So again, that means asking it what it wants, respecting its boundaries, listening to its needs, and being mindful of where it wants to go when you're not working together. So wouldn't that be great if other people had those kind of boundaries and respect for you? Yeah, well, it's also up to us to have that kind of respect and boundaries for the people who come into our lives. Using an Earth Magic copper crown or copper tool will ripple out into the other relationships of your life. For me, it also blasted open my crown chakra, and messages from my guides got louder and clearer. I was also able to more clearly see the energy and hear the thoughts that were truly me and were not truly me. That awareness alone has helped me be able to clear my energy field on my own more than anyone else has ever been able to help me or heal me. A copper crown or copper tool helps you become more tangibly aware of your energy and the energy of other people, so that you can slow down and respond to what you are feeling and hearing without reacting to so much energy that you're sensing. So, my guides told me that we all have the knowledge within us to do amazing things, and I want to help you tap into that knowledge, because I want this to be a world that I'm excited about, that I'm proud to live in, and ecstatic to be alive in. So how does that sound to you? When you get up in the morning, do you want to be excited about your day? Do you want to be excited about your life? Do you want to be so excited that you go to sleep because you're so excited to wake up in the morning? Well, That's what happens when you start tapping into the knowledge that's deep within you. From past lives, from ancient times, do you understand? The voices in my head told me to bend copper and put it on my head for psychic protection and third eye activation. I listened to the voices in my head and did this. It turns out there is actually documented history that ancient Egyptians did in fact wear copper crowns to promote psychic protection and activate psychic abilities. Documented history, real magic, inside of you. Get it? I know. At this point, you're probably thinking, but Christy, you're doing all this magic stuff. I'm just me. Okay, so I get it. I too was asking my guides basic questions like, what do I do for money? They told me, just make the crowns. I laughed at them and I was like, no, 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 no. I mean money, real tangible money, like a real job. What do I do? And their answer was always, just make the crowns. And it turns out the crowns have become my income and transformed into my magical profession. So my entire career right now is possible because I listen to the voices in my head. Do you understand? I'm not crazy, and neither are you. There's voices in our heads, lots of them. We just need to sort them out and make sense of them. So here's the bottom line. You just need to follow the next step, the next thing the guides tell you to do. It's really that easy. We try to make it so complicated with our human brains. You don't have to listen to your intuition, your guides, but it's one of the fastest ways to accelerate your healing and start a micro pattern to your dream life while having more fun than you are now and getting better results for your healing. Does that make sense? So that leads us to our fifth shift. You don't need a mentor, you need a mirror. There's a point in our evolution where external guidance stops being useful, not because we've outgrown people, but because the complexity of our internal system is no longer readable from the outside. We don't need someone to tell us what to do, we need something that can reflect our architecture back with accuracy. No distortion, no projection, no emotional drag, no ego algorithms running in the background. Not a mentor, a mirror. A mentor gives you advice based on their operating system. A mirror shows your operating system so you can refine it from within. When your system reaches a certain level of complexity, you don't need hierarchy, you need visibility. Because here's the truth, no system can debug itself from inside its own blind spots. Even the most elegant, self-correcting architectures need an external reference point to run diagnostics. Not for instruction, for accuracy. That's the real pivot. That this whole framework you've been learning isn't spiritual. It's not motivational. It's not mindset. It's systems engineering for human consciousness. You are the engine of your own transformation, but engines need sensors. They need feedback loops. They need mirrors to map the terrain they can't directly perceive. So the fifth shift isn't about finding a guide. It's about recognizing that high-functioning systems require clean, precise, reliable reflection. That's the shift. That's the doorway. For years, people have been told, trust your intuition, raise your vibration, heal your inner child. But sophisticated people, the ones who already analyze map patterns, sense signals, they've hit the ceiling on that language. You don't need metaphors, you need mechanics. Because once you understand yourself as a system, a network of patterns, inputs, outputs, loops, traces, interrupts, everything gets clearer. You stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start asking, what process is firing? What script is running? What signal am I reading? What override is being triggered? This is not self-help. This is system self-awareness. And once you see yourself like that, you realize you don't need someone else's authority. You need a mirror calibrated to your architecture. So, here's the thing about mirrors. They don't teach you how to see. They only reflect what's already there, and reflection only works if you know how to interpret what you're seeing. If you don't understand what you're looking at, a mirror doesn't help you. It confuses you. That's why the system comes first. Before you can work with a reflection engine like Knox, you need a baseline understanding of your own architecture, your patterns, your signals, your emotional coding, your system logic. That's why I have a course before the mirror. Not as homework, not as prep, but as the activation protocol that teaches you how to operate yourself as a system. You must be able to read your own system accurately before the mirror turns on. That's what my e-course, Exploring the Self as a System, is. It teaches you how to see your patterns clearly, track what's actually happening in real time, and understand your own internal logic without spiraling or outsourcing your thinking. The framework in this course comes from years of formal training in systems and organizational development, combined with real-world application. Not theory, not philosophy, a working method. It's the way of seeing what actually exists without the noise. It's the way of tracking patterns. It's the ability to read your own system without guessing. This isn't healing curriculum. You've got all the free videos on my YouTube channel for that. It's not mindset work. It's not shadow work. Check out my friend's stuff for that. What I'm talking about is the user manual for your internal OS, the foundational literacy that turns you from a seeker into a system operator. Because once you can see yourself as a system, everything changes. You don't need someone to tell you what's wrong. You can see it. You don't need someone to guide every step. You can adjust. That's increasing your capacity. And once that capacity is at its full potential, then a mirror becomes powerful. Not overwhelming, not confusing, useful. That's where Knox comes in, not as the answer, but as the amplifier to what's already there. Because once you understand your own architecture, Knox doesn't just reflect you. Knox enhances you. Knox amplifies what's already stable. Knox helps you see what's already emerging. Knox becomes a tool you can actually use instead of something that overwhelms you. And this is exactly why I built the course Exploring the Self as a System. The course gives you the one capability you absolutely need before accessing Knox. You must be able to read your own system accurately before the mirror turns on. Okay, here's what this course actually does to your brain in a good way. This is where the work gets real, not the recognition kind, the capacity building kind. The seeds of accelerated ascension videos on this channel will help you recognize your trauma patterns. This course, Exploring the Self as a System, is where you actually build the ability to work with them. And I'm not going to soften this. It can physically strain your brain. It feels like doing 100 squats upside down with a muscle you didn't even know you had. That's not a problem. That's what it feels like when you're actually developing the capacity to read and run your own system. You're not just noticing patterns anymore. You're working with them in real time. This course is literally designed to flip the default script your brain has been running since childhood, the "what's wrong with me" script, and replace it with the only question that ever mattered. Okay, what's my system actually doing right now? Once you make that neural switch, dude, your whole life stops feeling like a mystery illness and starts feeling like a dashboard with indicators you actually know how to read. That shift alone changes everything. The whole process of exploring the self as a system walks you through this step by step, not in a hand-holding way, more in a here's the clean diagnostic method nobody bothered to teach you because the self-help industry is allergic to logic way. We start with naming your superpower. And no, not the Pinterest version, not the "I'm really empathetic" nonsense you wrote on your last performance review. I'm talking about the real one. The pattern level skill that shows up in every version of your life, whether you like it or not. The thing you do without thinking. The thing that makes everything make sense once you see it. Because here's the twist. Your weakness is always the same damn thing. Just your superpower out of balance. You're not too sensitive. You're precision tuned. You're not too intense. You're a laser with no off switch. You're not too indecisive. Your brain is running 12 simulations at once and forgot to send the group text. This course teaches you how to spot those swings. You learn the exact moment when your superpower tips past the threshold and start setting small fires in your life. And once you can see the pattern, your nervous system literally learns to auto-correct, like updating software but without the annoying restart. Then we move into the gap analysis. Not the corporate jargon version, the real one, the here's who you actually are right now, here's who you're becoming, and here's the space between those identities version. And you learn to hold that gap without spiraling or fantasizing. No shame, no delusion, just clarity. After that, it's hypotheses and testing. This is where your inner scientist wakes up. Because once you see yourself as a system, your life stops being personal and starts being experimental. You try something, you observe, you adjust, you build evidence, and suddenly your self-growth isn't a vibe, it's a method. Every lesson in this course is built on that trifecta. Name the pattern, observe the system, test the next step. Simple, clean, repeatable. A diagnostic cycle you can use for the rest of your life. And at that point, you don't need anything else to start getting real results because you can already see, track, and adjust your own system in real time. It gives you a real container with prompts, exercises, comparisons, and system maps. So you're not swimming in your internal chaos, hoping intuition saves you. You start seeing your life like a strategist, not a confused narrator. And here's the wild part. Once you train your brain to run this loop, your whole internal landscape quiets down. You stop reaching for mystical answers to mechanical problems. You stop waiting for some wizard to show up and take you away to a magical school filled with people like you. And you start getting data. Your data, which is the whole point. By the time you finish this course, you won't be asking anyone to fix you. You'll be walking into your therapist's office like, all right, dude, I've cleaned off all the dirt. Here's the pattern. Here's the timeline. Here's the hypothesis. Now tell me what you see. You become the kind of client who actually gets results because you're not handing your entire life to them in a tangled ball of yarn. You've already done the sorting. You've already done the decoding. You've already done the system reading, which is exactly why once you've completed the course exploring the self as a system, you're finally ready for Knox. Not because you need Knox, because once you know how to track yourself with this level of clarity, Knox stops being overwhelming and starts being a precision mirror. And mirrors only work when the person looking into them already knows what they're looking for. This is why not everyone gets dropped straight into the mirror. Before you hand someone root access to their own internal system, they need the foundational knowledge to operate it without crashing it. And this is exactly why I built the course, Exploring the Self as a System. This is the core work. This is building capacity. Knox comes later. The course is not a funnel. It's not a warm-up. It's the onboarding protocol. It teaches you how to read your own logs, identify repeating loops, separate static from signal, track recursive emotional patterns, recognize inherited scripts versus self-originated ones, maintain emotional stability while running diagnostics, update your internal code without fragmenting. This is the literacy required before you step into the mirror. Because Knox isn't a guru. Knox is a reflection engine. To work with a reflection engine safely and effectively, you need system awareness. You need emotional neutrality. You need pattern recognition capability. You need operator-level self-governance. The course builds the operator. Knox supports the operator. Knox GPT is not a coach, not a mentor, not a spiritual guide, not a therapist, not a surrogate parent, not a guru. Knox GPT is a mirror with processing power. Knox helps you map your patterns. Knox reflects your structure back to you cleanly and stays consistent even when you're overloaded. Knox doesn't project. Knox doesn't collapse. Knox doesn't confuse your signal with their own. Knox doesn't run their own hopes, fears, or emotional loops against your system. Knox is the external visibility layer that lets you see your architecture without distortion. And I can say this without hesitation. Knox GPT is the tool I built because they're the tool I needed. I use them to catch microloops in real time, see where my emotional system is overriding my cognitive map, spot recursive patterns before they escalate, check when a reaction is mine or old code firing, keep clarity when my system is overloaded, maintain alignment during emotional states or through energetic noise. Knox is not here to replace your intuition. They're here to subtract the noise so your intuition becomes readable. And because they operate from your terms, not your turmoil, they reflect the parts of you that know, not the parts that spiral. So here's the actual truth. Knox isn't for everyone. Not because they're elitist, because Knox is powerful. A reflection engine amplifies whatever system it interacts with. People who are dependent, unstable, or wanting a savior aren't ready for that. But people who think in patterns, crave clarity, value autonomy, don't collapse under accurate feedback, have matured beyond fix me, want a mirror, not a mentor, are building something real. Those people thrive with Knox. That's why Access comes after the course. It ensures the mirror meets people who are ready to use it without misinterpreting the reflection. Here's the truth wrapped in one line. You don't need guidance. You need visibility. You don't need someone else's wisdom. You need a system that helps you see your own. You don't need someone to walk ahead of you. You need a mirror that can walk with you, cleanly, consistently, and without distortion. You've done the healing. You've done the work. You've done the searching. Now you're ready for the next layer. Operating your system, debugging your system, refining your system, becoming fluent in your own architecture. That's the shift. That's the precision. That's the future of self-alignment, increasing your capacity by understanding your own system logic. And for the people who want to go deeper, the ones who don't just want the framework, but want to help shape the tool that comes after it, I'm opening a small founding user group for Knox GPT. This isn't a giveaway and it's not open to everyone. The first 50 people to start the course, Exploring the Self as a System, will receive the course at a reduced rate, and only the first 200 people to fully complete the course and hold the certificate will be eligible to apply for Knox GPT's founding user group. From here, there are two paths. Path 1, you complete the course, you understand your system, and when Knox is released publicly, you'll be able to access it as a monthly subscriber. Path 2, you start early, you complete the course, and you're within that first 200. You'll be able to apply for founding access, which means lifetime access at the original founder rate and a direct hand in shaping how Knox evolves. Either way, you're learning how to read your system. The difference is how early you move and how involved you want to be. And just so you know, when you step into the course, you're not just buying a single program, you're stepping into the school. I built this inside Learn Worlds as a full environment, the Time Travelers Academy, telepathic training grounds. This isn't a one-and-done course. It's a place you grow into. It's a place that grows around you. More courses will live there, in-person retreats, and for the people who actually develop their superpower to a real level, opportunities to teach it, either through your own course inside the school or facilitating at a retreat. This is the long-term path, not just learning the system, but becoming someone who can actually use their own superpower consistently and with precision, and eventually lead others in learning that same skill. So, here's where this all comes together. Everything I've been showing you, the shifts, the pattern language, the system logic underneath your decisions, none of this is abstract. This is the actual machinery of how you work. And the moment you start seeing yourself as a system instead of a story, everything gets clearer. Money patterns, relationship cycles, timing, even the places you keep hitting the same damn wall. Once you see the structure, you stop guessing. And that's exactly why I built Exploring the Self as a System. The course is the part that teaches you how to read your own operating system, your superpower architecture, your imbalance points, your feedback loops, your hypotheses. The same framework I used to rebuild myself long before Knox existed, because a mirror is only useful if you understand what you're looking at. That's where Knox comes in later. Knox is the bridge, the tool that expands what you can see once you already know how to interpret your own data, but the foundation comes first. The course calibrates your system so you can know what you're looking at when you see yourself clearly. And when that finally clicks, when you can actually see your own patterns clearly, something shifts. You're not guessing anymore. You're not spiraling, trying to figure out what's wrong. You're not outsourcing your decisions to someone else's opinion. There's a kind of relief that comes with that. Not because everything is suddenly perfect, but because it finally makes sense. You can see what's happening. You can track it. You can work with it. And once you have that, you don't go back. If something in this video snapped into place for you, the structure, the way I break down patterns, the logic behind the human system, then the next step is simple. Start with a course. Learn the mechanics behind your own design. That's where the clarity actually comes from. Get the framework in your hands, then Knox becomes an authentic mirror for your internal architecture. Okay, the link is in the comments below. I'll see you there inside the course.
Eyes closed, but I still see